Hello there, everybody. Welcome to This Week at Crossroads. My name is Jake Christie. I'm joined today by Pastor Jesse Ryder.
Hello.
And Jalen Allen. Guys, tell us a little bit about what you do here at Crossroads, how long you've been here, what your role is, and, what you're excited about right now.
Sure. My name is Jalen, as Jake said, and I'm the communications director here at Crossroads. I've only been here just over a year as of a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's been really fun. I love getting to do what I do and being able to be a part of a bunch of different projects here.
Cool. How about you?
Nice. Yeah, I have been on staff for 21 years.
Are you the most tenured?
I am the most tenured. I'm an old man.
Right.
And I am the operations pastor here. And so I do a lot of fun stuff, including podcasts.
Hey, nice. Well, hey, today we are talking about fellowship, the spiritual discipline of fellowship. Getting together, being a part of a community. I know that, again, you've been here maybe not the least amount of time on our staff, but close. You're newer, and you've been here the longest out of all of our staff, like we just talked about. And I sit in the middle. I'm pushing like 7 years-ish. So, but we all have had different impacts on our community here and have been impacted differently by our community here. And just, have been able to just celebrate fellowshipping with other believers at our church. And so I just wanted to take some time to talk about that today. You guys have some different, perspectives on it, maybe even some different communities you're currently involved with at the church. So just giving you guys an opportunity to share about what's going on in your community, and how godly fellowship has impacted your lives. And so, Jalen, I want to start with you, because you and I recently got really involved in the Bridge, the young adult ministry or college age ministry here. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about what you're doing with the Bridge right now, with the college age ministry, and how it's impacted your time here at Crossroads.
Sure. The Bridge has been something that is incredible here at Crossroads since it's been here. I feel like there wasn't a space for the 18 to 24-year-olds that was really meshing well. And since we have started, I feel like there's been a huge growth and continual growth, which is really cool to see. It's a nice spot for people to get to come together and just talk and know that this is a weird spot in life that, it's hard to navigate. And even though it is kind of a gap of 18 to 24, some people are just getting out of high school. Some people are in college. Some people are working, a bit blend of people, but a lot of different lives and shared experiences that we can go through of just going through that struggle. But yeah, it's been really, really cool to get together in fellowship and spend time talking about the Lord and challenges and how to get through that stuff.
Of all the different seasons, that might be the most just so many different variations of seasons within a season, right? Because you could have, in that group, you could have a parent, you could have a college student, you could have someone who's just not sure about life, you could have a professional. There's just so many variations within that group of what that season could look like. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I think that is why we want to offer that kind of ministry, is to be able to just say, hey, it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, we're just all trying to figure this out together, know? So the time that I was a part of it, was super exciting to get to watch a lot of you guys blossom into different leaders and find, what's my fit in the church? How do I contribute to fellowship? And that is part of what I do want to talk about today too, is just being a part of the body of Christ and knowing hey, we're all just trying to do this together. We're all fellowshipping together. We're all, working towards something together. We're all, bearing one of those burdens together, and we're just trying to figure out how to be children of God together. And so the togetherness I think is really important. That's part of the reason why I wanted to touch on the Bridge, is because regardless of where you're at in life, it's important to do life with other people. It's important to connect with others. And so, Jesse, I want to hear from you for a second. Again, you've been here for a while. This church has been your home for a long time. I'm making it sound like you're super old.
Back in the early 70s.
How long have you been here, not just on staff, but been attending?
So I started attending my junior year in high school, which had been about the year 2000, I think. So about 25 years.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about how that, like, the impact Crossroads has had on your life from like not just like working here and like being a pastor perspective, but also just like being your community.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you an example for every year I've been here. So let's start back in year. No, I'm just kidding. So one of the key things for me that sticks out right away, my wife and I, we had decided early on that we wanted to adopt at some point, and we're always talking about what would be the best way to adopt. And so we really thought maybe fostering would be a situation we could look into, not necessarily for adoption, but could we just help care for kids in our community? And so we decided to become foster parents. So we have 5 kids total right now, 3 kids biologically ours, and 2 we've adopted. But the 2 we've adopted came through foster care. And there was a moment when we were kind of first in foster care with our children that the church kind of rallied around us. There was a foster care support group that really just rallied around us and supported us and encouraged us. And one of the ways they served us was they would bring us meals. Like on a weekly basis, there would be a family that would show up and they would just bring us a meal. And it was so special because it was just a night where we did not have to cook or figure out food for the evening. But more importantly, I think it showed our kids what service and community, like really like healthy service and healthy community look like. And so there'd be a family that show up and they'd bring us a meal. And every time our kids were like, well, why are they bringing us food? Like, well, they love us and they care for us and they just want to help out a little bit. Yeah. And so every week we got to have that conversation of why this family brought us food, and they just wanted to help out. They wanted to serve us, and they were just part of this community of wanting us to just feel supported as we were in the foster care journey. And so I remember getting to just weekly unpack that with my kids and explain to them this was what people want to do. Like they care for us and they want to care for us, and here's a way they can do that. And so that community just rallied around us and our family and was so supportive and so encouraging as we were in that foster care journey, that allowed us just kind of the freedom to be able to demonstrate what does healthy community and healthy support look like, and then also model it well for our kids.
Yeah, that's great. It's so cool to be able to know that people have your back, you know, and not just your back, but I mean, when Monica and I started here, it was just the 2 of us. We were freshly married. You know, we weren't even married a year yet when Monica started working here, and like being able to have people in your life that you are serving, but that are also serving you through those different seasons, and then like being able to watch them love on your kids too. It has been just phenomenal. And so whether they're your bio kids or they're not your bio kids, watching these people that love the Lord, and because they love the Lord, love on your children and support you in that process, it had to be just so encouraging. And it has to be even to this day, because I see people loving on your kids all the time. I love your kids. They're hilarious. They crack me up, actually. But
get it from their mom.
Yeah, it has to be so encouraging, not just for you, but for your wife and for your kids.
Absolutely. I think the church is such a great place to build a healthy network of people to support you, and not only you, but your family as well. And so I know that's been true for us, where our kids have felt loved. And I mentioned the food earlier, but just throughout the church and throughout life, where they have people beyond my wife and I who are caring for them, who are praying for them, who are wanting them to do well and holding them accountable and encouraging them. So I think the church can be such a great place to build a network of people, if you let it, right? If you let it. And so I think you kind of have to be intentional about it, but it can be such a healthy place to just feel supported and cared for and loved, and really, really cool things can happen from that.
So guys, I'd like to hear from your perspective, what is the biblical example of fellowship? You know, we're calling this a spiritual discipline of fellowship. How is it a spiritual discipline from a biblical or godly perspective? Why is it important? I mean, we talked about encouragement. We talked about, you know, having each other's back, bearing one of those burdens, that kind of thing. I'd love to hear from your perspective. Why is it important to you? And also, why is it important to God for us to gather together, to be together consistently?
Yeah, I think one of the big things to differentiate is the difference between friendship and fellowship. Friendship, I think, is you can be with friends, you can hang out, you can have fun, you can just go do things, and that's good. That's healthy. I think fellowship, there's so much more intentionality behind it, where the goal is, I want to have people in my life who are going to, we can certainly have fun together, but they're going to be able to say the hard things to me. They're going to be able to say things that, maybe I'm walking in a path I shouldn't be walking in, and be able to kind of help redirect. They're going to be able to provide encouragement and support. But I think really it's the intentionality of that's the purpose, that's the dynamic of this relationship. I feel like a friendship might have elements of that, but the primary element usually of friendship is fun and just kind of connecting. Where fellowship, the intentionality behind it of, hey, this person is in my life because either they are holding me accountable or I'm holding them accountable, or it's this kind of back and forth. And so having that specific and intentional relationship, I think, is very key for believers to kind of have people in your life who are going to speak into you, speak truth into you, encourage you, support you, pray for you, pray with you, but then also then you are to do the same either for them or for another person as well. So I think really the key for me is intentionality, though.
Yeah. How about you, Jalen?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's so important that, like, in this world where Christianity is so different and we know that we're called apart and that we're going to live a harder life, it's so nice and important. We're called to spend time with other believers and commune with other believers and be able to, confess and build up each other with encouragement and just keep each other accountable and ultimately praise and spend time growing with the Lord together as well as on our own. But to have that intentional time, like you said, intentional is a great word, to spend with other believers in doing so is something that you must have in your life.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the bridge before, but the bridge almost kind of operates like a small group, and we have lots of small groups here, and we're going to be doing a big small group push here very soon. Maybe even by the time you're watching this, you will hear about our James initiative that we're going to be having with small groups and just like building our biblical literacy as a church, our biblical understanding. Through this James initiative, and we're going to do that in fellowship together. But yeah, we have our small groups, and we have our Sunday morning fellowship time where we come together and we hear God's word and we worship the Lord together. And we have serve teams. Those are awesome opportunities for fellowship. For you guys, thinking about all the different fellowship opportunities that the church provides, and even that we're called to be a part of. What has been the most impactful one for you in your journey with Christ? Like what level? Like, is it the one-on-one? Is it the small group? Is it the Sunday morning? Is it the phone call?
It's my mom. Sorry, Mom, can you call me back, please? I'm real busy right now.
So yeah, kind of going back, what has been the most impactful fellowship opportunity for you in your walk with Christ?
Yeah, I don't know about for me personally, but as soon as you started asking that question, there was a story and a moment that popped into my head right away. When I was at the city center, we had so many volunteers there that were just willing to just serve and do whatever. And I just loved their hearts for service. But I remember one day, one of the things at the city center that we did, and they still do, is a free laundry program. So for guests who do not have access to washers and dryers and all sorts of those things, to kind of just things we might take for granted, we provided a free laundry service for guests to be able to come in. They could bring their laundry, and while their laundry was being done, our team would just kind of go and just get to pray with people and serve people and just kind of get to minister to them in that capacity. But one of the things that was so impactful for me is I remember at the city center, all of our washers are downstairs, and so they are kind of the washers are the people. You don't get to interact with a lot of other people because you're stuck in the washroom and you're just washing clothes for the entire day. And there are some saints down there who they just do it and they do it well. I remember walking down one morning and I just see a group of ladies just praying together and just they had shared their stories and we're just talking about what life had kind of brought them recently. It was kind of some difficult stuff. I remember just seeing that there was just a moment of community where they were just washing clothes, but really they had connected and they were praying together and like they were bonding over over dirty clothes, but much more than that, right? And it was such a cool kind of serve moment. So their job was to wash clothes, but that brought them together in such a unique and special way where they now can pray for one another, they can encourage one another, and they have this connection through that. So for me, serve teams is what I instantly thought of. I can remember that moment of walking down and seeing like this is so cool. Like there's so much ministry going on upstairs when talking to our guests, but like downstairs within the team, like the washing ladies, like they were just kind of connecting over that.
Yeah. We talked a little bit last week about service, and what that was one of the things that we mentioned was like if you want to get involved, if you want to make friends, if you want to be in intentional fellowship with people, especially for a new person, that's serving is where we always point people first. Like if you really like want to make those connections with people and find people in your life that you can be on mission with that are going to encourage you. And be able to see you go through the highs and lows of your life, or even like get a microcosm of the highs and lows of your life, watching you deal with stressful situations, or even like watching you deal with victories. Serve teams are amazing.
Absolutely.
Because you're heading in the same direction for sure, because you're at least doing an activity together.
Yeah.
But also, like you get those glimpses into what a person's personality is like, because they're doing something kind of hard that they need the Lord to build them up and you to build them up in as they are on mission for the Lord. So
yeah, what I like about both, even fellowship and service, it's both. It starts as kind of an inward spiritual discipline, and then it turns to like an outward spiritual discipline. So it's like internally focused on me and kind of me developing some skills and disciplines in my life. But then it becomes I just don't sit here and hold these things inside of me. So with service, this becomes an outward expression of kind of what I'm feeling inside. So I'm looking to serve people. But fellowship's kind of the same way of, all right, I am disciplining myself internally, but it's not just for me. It's for how can I pour into someone else, and then am I willing to receive kind of someone else pouring into me? And so it starts internally, but it really moves into kind of an external spiritual discipline. So I think it's just kind of a cool picture of that.
Yeah. Jill, any thoughts or like what level of fellowship you feel like has been the most impactful for you in your walk with Jesus?
Yeah. I feel like the small groups really have touched me in a different way. I think serving as well, but specifically small groups, and then specifically the bridge. In my time there, I feel like it's not something I typically would do. I'm pretty introverted. It's hard for me to get out of my shell. But like you said, it really is something that it kind of starts inwardly of like, okay, I'm doing this kind of to make friends, kind of to put myself out there and see what I can get out of it. And now I'm at a place where I'm every week, like writing down everybody's prayer requests. Like, how can I pray for you? And looking back on that throughout the week, and people are doing that for me. And it's such a blessing to be able to not only receive, but to pour back into others as well. Yeah. And even in this podcast, I shared with some people, a lot of people would be surprised that I was nervous to be on here.
Sure.
It's not my typical, I don't know, not my typical avenue that I would go on. I guess I'm not very extroverted in that way. But I shared at the bridge on Tuesday that I was kind of nervous with my group I was talking with, and they've continuously been praying over me and texting me and checking in on me and just reminding me that, you know, God is going to do things through what he has planned for me to say on here. And that's not something that I can get on my own, and nor can I find on my own. So just having that space where I can get brought, I guess, just love from others and poured into and reminded of how God loves me and his plans.
That's good.
Yeah.
Are you nervous right now?
Yeah.
Are you? Okay, nice.
I'm getting better.
Started with an icebreaker.
I'm getting better.
20 minutes in, bring in an icebreaker, settle Jay down. We're okay. It's gonna be fine.
No, I'm fine.
Well, you're doing great, Jalen.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate your vulnerability in that. And, you know, we also talked a little bit last week, maybe even in a moment of heat about just like people, you need to be involved. You need to get plugged into the church. And I think there's so much like encouragement in our, like, maybe not just in our weakness, but also in our strengths. And maybe it's either one of those. Maybe it's just our proclivities, you know, just the way that we're wired. And so, introversion is not a weakness.
Yeah.
Or a strength. It's a personality trait.
Yeah.
It indicates how you recharge and maybe where you feel the most comfortable. And so, I mean, I really appreciate your vulnerability. I'm going to ask you to go a little bit farther, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You already said she was nervous. What are you doing? All right, let's go, Jay. Come on. Share all your secrets right now.
I'm a pusher. Jalen knows this.
Confess three things into the microphone in the audience.
What is your deepest, darkest sin struggle right now? What would be your encouragement to those that maybe tend to be more introverted, to get involved in the church? Maybe even like, what is some practical advice that you might have when someone maybe tends to be more introverted, to help them get more invested in fellowship at the church? You know, what are some things you've done, maybe, or maybe even some things you've seen other people do, or maybe some encouragement you receive that was helpful for you to help you take that next step of, you know, I want to invest in fellowship at my church, regardless of how comfortable I might feel in some of these settings.
That's such a good question. And honestly, I really wish I had somebody to, I guess, get that from, that was going through that same thing. I feel like I, as an introvert, kind of go towards extroverts. I'm like, I love their energy, and I'm like, okay, let me go towards you for that kind of stuff. But yeah, one, it's really, I feel like, realizing that kind of in a way you, or not even kind of, in a way, you not going out of your way is kind of selfish, you know? Like, if you stick to yourself, and I'm like, don't get
Jay's calling out all the, she's introverted, as if you can't get offended because she is too.
But truly, if you are wanting to stick to yourself and you really not develop, you really desire, that's what I'm looking for, to have community and to grow in fellowship, you kind of got to put yourself out there. Yeah. You can't expect it to just naturally come to you. I kind of came and was hoping that while I was at church that I would randomly be put in a group, and there, you know, like, here you are, here's your consolation prize, you showed up at church, and here is your fellowship group that you're going to be with. And I know a lot of people that just don't have that background. They relate. They think that they're going to show up at church and that group is just going to blossom around them. And that's not always reality. Sure. It really is putting yourself out there and figuring out how you can get involved. I would highly, highly recommend joining a serve team, or just seeking it out, talking to the people around you, seeing where you can find that community. And if the people you're talking to can't help you provide that, they can find you places to get you involved. That's something that we have such a deep passion for in our staff, is getting people involved. We talk about it all the time. And I think that people that come in a lot of times don't know where to start. And instead of asking, it's easy to say, well, I'm just going to hope it comes upon me. But sometimes it's taking that first step of, okay, I'm going to go out and seek, and it'll be met. And it is. There's so many ways. Events go. I also highly recommend our events here. We have so many people that come to events. You can find one person to come alongside you, or at least get you plugged into something else from that event, just by going to one. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would highly recommend.
Yeah. I love that advice of just take that step, just to put yourself out there.
It's scary, but
yeah. And what I appreciated about you was watching you take some of these steps. And I've gotten a kind of a front row seat, which has been such a blessing, Jalen. Is the way that you went about it was like, okay, I know I'm a little bit more introverted. I'm maybe going into some environments where maybe I don't feel the most comfortable, but I'm just going to try it. But I'm going to dive in head first, and maybe even do things I've never done before. You know, like you were leading table discussions at the bridge. You know, you were asking the questions. You were taking the prayer requests in.
I've got a good icebreaker for you. We're 25 minutes in. What's the most nerve-wracking thing you've had to do, as you know, what you're talking about, kind of to take that step and kind of put yourself out there? What has been the most like stressful or like nervousness moment of all the things that you've encountered?
That's a really good question. I'm like right now.
You're looking at it.
I mean, honestly, if from the beginning, looking back, I would probably say now, like from the outside looking in, like, I never in a million years could see myself doing this. But like overall, I would say announcements, which is
something you do every week.
Every week, it's the thing that people know me from. Hey, I know you from announcements. And it's just so scary seeing yourself up there. I don't do it live. I could never. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but I should say that.
what's
Take it back.
Next week, announcements live from stage.
I shouldn't say that, but every week watching yourself up there giving announcements is just, it's not me just speaking from the heart, but it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel like I've gotten more used to, but yeah, definitely was very out of my comfort zone. I'm not someone to be, I was a cheerleader, but I was doing, people are like, you are introverted, but you're a cheerleader. And I'm like, it's different when you're doing the same thing as everybody else at the same time. When you can kind of blend into the crowd, I mean, the crowd of the cheerleaders versus when it's you in the spotlight by yourself. And a lot of what I had to do in that moment was put myself into, which Timmy has helped me with and the rest of the staff has really poured into me, and is, you know, you are doing this for God, and God has a reason and a purpose for you to be doing this, and you just got to lean in.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel right now with this.
That's good.
Nervous, but God had a reason for me to be.
I asked a good icebreaker. Let's get this podcast started. Welcome to This Week at Crossroads. I'm just kidding.
That's funny.
Perfect. Another 25 minutes.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for your vulnerability in this, and I know it's going to bless a lot of people, especially those that, you know, maybe feel like I have a vision in my head of where I feel like the Lord is calling me and what He wants me to do, but there's a roadblock. You know, whether it's introversion, maybe it's they feel like a lack of connection just in general to the church, or maybe it's just a not having faith or a confidence in how the Lord has equipped them to be a part of what's going on here. And so what the Lord is doing through Crossroads, not even just Crossroads, but the capital C church, you know, all like being able to step into fellowship with other believers, to let them challenge you, to let you challenge them, and just to be an encouragement for each other will help you find more confidence in the Lord as you take bigger and even more scary steps. You know, because it starts with announcements, it moves into group leading, it moves into being a part of a podcast. Who knows what's next for you? You know,
live announcements for sure. For Jay,
for sure. But
see you next week.
You could see the gradual steps that the Lord takes you on, and the ways that He just continues to equip you to be able to contribute to your community here, and seeing people cheer you on through that process is
incredible.
Awesome. So awesome. And so, and the Lord is allowing you to kind of make a name for yourself in this community. You know, people recognize the way that you're contributing. I know, Jesse, you've experienced that a lot. You've grown up here, really. And so, kind of similar to what Jalen just shared. What's been your journey with your fellowship here, with the people that are around you? How have you contributed over the years, and maybe even watched yourself grow, and even had other people cheer you on as you grow? What's been sort of your journey with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, when I think about community here, I think there's the easy excuse of it's too big, or it's easy. I think I like what you said about blending in, where I can come in on a Sunday, I can sit down and I can watch service, and no one will know I'm here, no one will know my name, and then I can leave. And I think for many people that's their church experience. And I think for me that's what started my church experience. I was invited by a friend. I came, I watched, we left. And I just kind of, well, okay. We did that repeatedly. And at some point I say, all right, I don't want that to be my church experience. If I'm going to be in for something, I'm going to be all in for something. So I was like, what can I do to really get connected? And so mine started with serve. I was a junior or senior in high school, and I just started volunteering in what was at our old building down the road on Park Avenue, what was called Route 56. It was a car-themed room with geared towards 5th and 6th graders. And it's like, I'm just going to go in there. They said they needed help in there, and so I just went in. And like the first 3 weeks, I remember I just played basketball. They had like little Papa Shot basketball thing. I just played basketball with kids, and I crushed them. I sent a message right away that I will not be losing to any child in Papa Shot basketball. That's awesome. But for me, it started with, okay, I don't want to just come and watch every week. I don't want to be a watcher. And I knew early on, like that's not what I want from this church. Like I want to be involved. I want to be connected. I want to be able to be a part of what's going on and not just watch what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that has kind of always been my MO of like, I want to be a part of this, not just, and I didn't see watching as a part of it. I thought watching as like it's an okay thing to do, but you can't stay there. You can't stay as a watcher, because there's nothing there for you. And so I said, I want to join. I want to be a part of something. And they said the need was in Route 56. I'm like, all right, I'll go to Route 56. And I started just nailing shots everywhere. But for me, that's kind of was my first step in. And then part of my journey was like, oh wait, I think I'm called to ministry actually. And then started in student ministry and doing some stuff there. But for me, it started early on where I didn't want to just stay in the seat. I didn't want to just watch church happen. I wanted to be a part of what was happening. I wanted to be used by God in ways I never even dreamed possible. Right? I get it. We don't have the same personality, but I get what you're saying. Like never in a million years would I thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. Right? So for me, it started with that mindset of, okay, I can't just keep watching this cool stuff happen. I want to be a part of this stuff.
Yeah, that might be a great way for us to even to define what the spiritual discipline of fellowship is just refusing to be a spectator. Don't
good.
just watch what the Lord is doing, be a part of what he's doing, and even like be willing to ask him like what do you want me to do with these people? Like what do you want me to do, as a part of this flock, as a part of the body of Christ? Like where's my fit? How do I celebrate other people's fit? How do I maybe even not grow frustrated with other people's fit that don't make sense to me, and how do I contribute? How do I just not be a spectator? And we also talked a little bit last week about just like Christian consumerism, and how a lot of people just show up and fill themselves up with information and then leave.
I would say it's so easy to be a spectator, right? It's so easy, right? Especially now with just the accessibility of the internet. You can watch any sermon from anywhere, from just about any church. So I can spectate a lot of different churches. I can spectate a lot of different sermons. And so I can just sit there and consume and watch and watch and watch. But at some point, I think you have to take that step. And I know that, that we have a large online campus, and I love our online campus, but at some point you got to become more than a watcher. I just feel like if you really want to get involved in fellowship and community and service, you can't just watch those things happen and expect to feel the results of those things. So I think that at some point you got to take that step from watcher to, all right, I want to be a participant. I want to be willing to be used by God in whatever way, even if I don't even know the way right now. I want to be willing to be used like that. So
why do you think it's so hard for so many people? Because to be honest, for a lot of people, consistency and attendance for Sunday morning, and even just like for small groups and stuff like that, I feel like a lot of people will have a season where they do well and then they don't do well, or maybe even their rhythm is once a month or once every 2 months or something like that. I think we looked up a statistic a couple years ago. I think it was like the average church attender is like once in every 6 weeks. Why are people having such a hard time coming to be a part of the fellowship? Like what is holding them back, in your guys' thoughts?
I think that the question is, why is it so hard, is because it's so easy on the other end, right? It's so easy to sit at home. It's so easy to watch stuff online. It's so easy to let my schedule fill up. It's so easy to do these things. So the reason it's so hard is because it's so easy on the other side, right? I can quickly fill it up with all sorts of things. Or if I'm not resting well, and all of a sudden, like my only time of rest is Sunday morning, and I'm too tired, or whatever, it's so easy for the other things. It becomes hard to, not hard, but difficult to maybe keep it a priority if you're just spectating, right? If you're just watching is not really a priority, right? If you're just coming to be entertained, you can find other ways of entertainment or other modes of entertainment. And so I think it's easy to find, okay, well, if I'm just a watcher, then I can find other things to watch as well. And if something's maybe more entertaining or more funny or more maybe a better song or whatever, all of a sudden you just become like this church critic as the watcher, and you just find yourself just evaluating church and looking at things and, well, I don't really like the way they do this, but this church I watched over here, like they do it this way. And so I'm not really connected to anything. I watch everything, but I'm not really connected or serving or giving or doing anything. I just watch.
Yeah. Oh, you're preaching over there, Jesse. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thoughts, Jalen?
Yeah, I think it's really the participation piece. If you aren't getting involved in some way, it's really hard to have that desire to go in and not either just leave or to go in and get anything out of it at all, when I can do the same thing from online or from home.
Yeah.
I feel like once you really dive in, that's that piece that helps. And I wanted to, not to derail, but go back to what I said earlier really quickly. You brought up the Big C church, and I feel like something that we're seeing is that there's a big wave of people coming to Christ and at least being interested in Christ right now, which is really awesome. And I think that something we have to be aware of is that some of that piece might just be they don't know, lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And so that's part of our job, which is what we're trying to do through this podcast and through other things, is equip them with knowing that, like, okay, you don't know, and here we're telling you that you need to take that step and get involved. But also in that, knowing that in our groups that we have and in our serve teams and things, that we're going to have people that are coming with no knowledge, maybe very little biblical knowledge and things, and helping them feel like they're welcomed and that we are going to grow with them no matter what step of life that they're in.
That's a great point. I think one of the things I've seen in research recently, that people of kind of our age, my age, and then maybe a little bit of your age, I don't know, like that kind of demographic grew up in church and maybe left church at some point, but had a church background of something. Like they experienced church, they kind of knew some church principles. There's a lot of people now in kind of maybe your age even, didn't really grow up in church, so they don't really know a lot of just church history or church background or even church expectations. And so now people at 20, 25 years old are coming to church for the very first time. Not that they grew up in church. This is their first ever church experience as an adult. And so I think there is a knowledge piece, an equipping piece that we as the church have to do to people, like, hey, this is something you need. You need to be in community. Yeah. You need to be in fellowship. You need to be an active participant in your faith. You can't just watch, or at some point you're going to walk away because you get bored or you find something else. And so I think that's a great point of, there is a group of people who have not grown up in church who are now like, hey, I think I want to try this out. Yeah. They don't have any prior knowledge. And that's a great point.
Yeah. And I think an easy trap for those of us that have grown up in the church or been a part of the church for a long time and have built our community. It's really tough for us to open that up sometimes, to say, like there are new believers or even non-believers or people that maybe were at this church and now they're coming to ours, but like we're ingrained in our community already. And I have my people and I don't want to shake that up,
Yep.
But I think that though I understand it, and I do think you need to have your core group of people that hold you accountable and that you go a little bit deeper with in life. It's important for us as followers of Christ to welcome people into the fold, to welcome people into our body, and to be available for them, and even to make our families available for them, to make our other friends available for them, and for them to be able to learn, like, hey, this is how you do life as a believer. It's with other believers.
Yes.
We're compared to sheep for a reason, because we're flock animals with a leader, with a shepherd, with Jesus Christ. And so we move together as one. And so, guys, thank you so much for this conversation today. It really blessed me, and hopefully it blessed you guys too. I really appreciate some of the practical tips that you guys shared with our folks today. Guys, if you want to get plugged into community here, if you want to go deeper in fellowship with other believers, let us know. We have small groups and serve teams and lots of people that would love to come alongside you and help you create meaningful, godly fellowship with other believers. Don't forsake coming on Sunday mornings. We want you to be here. And if you're sick, or if you're traveling, or maybe you're checking us out for the first time, that's where I think the online stream is really helpful. It's a tool. It's not a destination. So come on Sunday mornings, be a part of the fellowship, come consistently. We want to encourage you. We want to see you grow in your relationship with Jesus. Guys, thank you guys so much for joining us for this week at Crossroads. We'll see you next week.